with the help of Dragon Knight, you can zone Shadow Fiend, you know, decently. Rubik comes in from the side, telekinesis, kill potential is definitely there. But Darkseer here for Wonjo, how many times have we seen Darkseer picked up this tournament? He's got a pretty high pick rate so far.
Yeah, I'd love that he's just sort of come back out of nowhere. Yeah. We had months of, no, years, honestly, of Darkseer being around and being a solid, stable pick, and then the offlane got really fundamentally changed, you know, a decent time ago, and that feels like it, to me, kind of pushed Darkseer out. And then it was like, oh, Broodmother's picked, we picked Darkseer, and that was the only time you saw him was to counter Broodmother. Yeah, and now we're just seeing him all the time. I think it does play into a little bit the fact that we've just been seeing more early team fights, more 5-on-5 kind of a thing, and Darkseer feels like he's just on that border of, okay, yes, he has a long cooldown spell to fight around, and that can be a little bit difficult when teams are picking lineups that can just fight constantly, like this NewBee Young lineup. But even if you don't have the wall up, Vacuum is still amazing for setup, you know, typically with whatever you're picking the Darkseer with. So I feel like he kind of managed to sneak under that, oh, we're not picking that many huge ultimates at the moment, or at least not too many long cooldown ultimates these days, but the Vacuum kind of helps to make up a little bit. And I think we had a Disruptor as the ban from NewBee Young. TongFu WZ going to end up grabbing a Lion to round out the lineup as NewBee Young go for a Morphling. So,
Morphling,
what do you think? Whose lineup do you like? Just right. I like right out of the gate. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that Morphling has left them really open. Like the Lion pick at the end, you know they're waiting for a support, so they don't have to commit to a core hero that deals with Morphling. Yeah, and Lion's great. He's just fantastic to have against. And then Morphling matching up against Juggernaut and Shadow Fiend. We talked about him against Darkseer earlier on, the fact that the wall, you know, gives you this great illusion of the Morphling with a whole bunch of stats, but against SF and Jugger, you're still going to get nuked down. Maybe, okay, you can dodge out Omni Slash, that's not going to be a guaranteed kill onto you. NewBee Young are very tanky though. They've got DK, Clockwork, and potentially Morphling who can just tank through all of the damage initially and outlast Wonjo. I think that's their goal. Then they're still against Voodoo Restoration. Shadow Fiend's item build I think comes down to, you know, go for the sustainability again. Go Mech BKB. I don't think you have to go too aggressive with the SF. Yeah, I think that works out just fine. And as we've been seeing, the Shadow Fiend having the option to go for the mech out of the mid lane opens things up a lot for your offlane Darkseer in particular to just go for an early mobility item to... Yeah, he just has a lot more options when he's not forced into rushing that mech. And I feel like that was one of the issues that we kind of saw with Darkseer in the past, was that sometimes you would be picking the Darkseer, you would be really set on him being the mech carrier, but then something goes wrong in the offlane, the mech gets delayed a couple of minutes, and you have a Darkseer running around maybe at level 7, and maxed out Ion Shell is great and all, but you still, you know, you're picking him for a particular purpose and didn't always necessarily get there. Of course, we can't discount buffs that he's received as well with Ion Shell cooldown and the wall duration as well. I think that definitely plays into his recent popularity, but it's at least nice to see that he's found a home again. You know, there's a lot of heroes that sort of get displaced by nerfs and we never ever see them again, but I feel like we're on a very level playing field at the moment in terms of what heroes are pickable. There are probably still some forgotten heroes out there, or there's still some underappreciated heroes, but I feel like most, you know, we're getting to the point where if a team really wants to make something work, they more or less can in a lot of cases. So we've got a little pause at the moment. But
NewBee Young, I'm not sure if this is going to be how the heroes are set, because Piao is usually their 1 or 2 role player, and it looks like he's going to be picking up the Rubik, while Mur, or Mr, whatever we want to call him, is on the Morphling, and he's usually their 5. Like, I've seen him play Chen.
I guess, but yeah, we've resumed the game and we can get ourselves back underway.
Oh, look, it's a swap.
Yeah, it is. I think Mur was just like, I'm going to give him my cosmetics, whatever.
Yeah, well, we see that quite a lot. Like, MMY doesn't, I can't remember who he was swapping with, but someone has nice Lena cosmetics, and MMY was like, you pick my hero, and then we swap. And then the problem was that they had to remake the lobby, and they didn't do it the second time.
Oh, so no.
A little bit of old chat.
I've seen it done with Spirit Breaker cosmetics. I think someone in China has a really nice Spirit Breaker set up, and get some swaps going for that. But Anyway, we are now into our game, and let's just have a look at how things are playing out here as we get underway. Over on NewBee Youth, we have MK on the Bounty Hunter, making his way down towards the offlane to start things out. We've got 456 on your Clockwork. SCC is going to be on your Dragon Knight. Piao on the Morphling, and Mur is the Rubik.
Oh man, this is so heads up from both teams. But we'll go over the Radiant first. DDR, Witch Doctor, YCYK on that Shadow Fiend, Sayaka playing the Lion. Who's this? Jin-Q on the Darkseer down there, and Zex Bingo playing that Juggernaut. But heads up from both teams. Shadow Fiend has been given a Sentry Ward to deal with the Bounty Hunter.
Yep.
You look at the DK, he's been given a Sentry Ward to counter the Sentry Ward that's there to deal with the Bounty Hunter. So it's going to come down to really who gets the first Sentry kill. And then the Bounty Hunter, if he makes an impact towards this mid lane, he's already hiding, placing an Observer very deep there looking for that Courier.
Yeah, I love how some of these mid lane matchups evolve. I feel like the biggest example to me is sort of how the Shadow Fiend versus TA matchup progressed. Of course, Shadow Fiend got buffed along the way as well, so it's not necessarily a fair comparison, but we started to see more of the level 1 raise to secure a couple of initial CS, and we went from a matchup that was considered very heavily TA favored to something that these days is very, very even. I feel like in general, mid lane matchups these days as well are sort of are somewhat even, and it sort of relies on outside interference to get anything done. But well, speaking of outside interference, you've got Sayaka running in here on mid lane, lobbing an Earth Spike towards the Dragon Knight, and then just retreating back into the trees. So he's making his presence felt here on the mid lane. And I think just trying to keep the Shadow Fiend safe from the Bounty Hunter at the moment.
Well, DK has his bottle already. Up at top lane, Zex Bingo getting up in the face of 456. The Jug against the clock. While over on the side, DDR pulls through. So he's got that large cap over. Pulled it into the creep wave and to get himself a nice bit of experience in gold.
We haven't even really talked about this laning configuration, but NewBee Y kind of dodging and leaving the Clockwork as the solo safe. They end up putting the Rubik and the Morphling down bottom. They've got the roaming Bounty Hunter making his way around. And TongFu WZ have a dual lane of their own with the Juggernaut and the Witch Doctor. So just all kinds of chicanery really happening.
I'm to watch this Courier, I think. See what they do with it. Oh, look, Lion has gone to the Courier.
Lion is head Courier.
Okay.
I'm watching the Courier right now. This is him.
Yep.
This is him.
So Bounty, the past 2 minutes of your life, well spent?
Yeah. This 450 HP Courier is definitely better than the 75 HP Courier. Are they gonna? I was wondering if SF was gonna sip bottle charges and then give the bottle back to the Lion so he can go
back to base.
Grab a rune or go back to base or something like that. But looks like Lion's just gonna be camping at this 2-minute rune top, and YCRK is going to be coming up and grabbing it. Bottom lane, Jin-Q playing it really aggressively here, in fact. Rubik's in some trouble, does have the lift, so he can disengage.
Well, the Bounty coming from the side.
Notice.
Unfortunate that the creep wave's pushing in. They don't have a good way to deal with this sort of lane shot from Darkseer. If that had been reversed and their lane was pushing towards the DS, that looks like a kill.
4-5... he just narrowly dodges this gank top lane. The line was running up to try and find him, but they might still do so as the cast can end up bouncing back. Maldic does end up connecting, but Cogs get dropped down, and that is that. Bottom lane, meanwhile, Jin-Q in some trouble. Pop the surge, but gets lifted right back. And 3 heroes from NewBee Y find a kill, but the double Ion Shell kills off the Bounty Hunter. Oh, man.
Oh, that's soloing for the Darkseer. That's what you're looking for. Who got the last hit? So Rubik? No, it's shared across all 3.
All right. But things looking pretty good for TongFu WZ lane-wise at the moment. Everybody's picking up some decent farm. I guess it's interesting to note that Zex Bingo is playing the Juggernaut in this game. He's typically the offlane player, but it looks like the Jug is sort of going to end up being the 1 position here, potentially, with the early game farm he's getting, though Darkseer is also doing really well. And Jin-Q I associate more with his Ember Spirit and sort of his more farm-dependent play. So a little bit of a shuffle around. I think it's probably just due to heroes more than anything. Oh, Bounty Hunter, he still wants this Courier, but it's already a flying Courier now. I don't know if he can...
Well, even so, they don't want to give him any opportunity to go for it.
Yeah, they're playing this so well. TongFu WZ, they see the Bounty Hunter, and they're already thinking, okay, what is step 1? We're going to make sure that he doesn't get the bottle. Step 2, we're going to make sure that there is a Sentry Ward ready for our Shadow Fiend mid so he doesn't get the Shadow Fiend. And there almost isn't a step 3. Yeah, the Bounty just putting a little bit of pressure on some of the other lanes, but...
The play up top from Lion. Rune spawns, he earth sparks the ground, no vision on the bounty hunter, but still hits the stun on the bounty, so there's no actual rune stolen by that invis little guy.
That's really nice play. And Saiga's still just chilling mid. He's more than content to just defend the Shadow Fiend in the early game. He knows he's going to get paid back as well for spending all this time. One, it doesn't really matter because if he's useless and the bounty hunter is useless, then he's pretty happy because the bounty hunter is definitely a big threat in the early game. And two, Jin-Q playing up a little bit here, but there's still 3 heroes down here. Bounty hunter hasn't revealed himself just yet, taking a little bit of Ion Shell damage. The Surge is going to wear off. Jin-Q still just punching away with the shell, but Fade Bolt comes in, and a few more right clicks are going to end up finishing him off. So
the Lion turns up a little bit too late, but
yeah.
Shadow Fiend just sort of stacking, making sure he's got Bank in the jungle ready and waiting for him. SCCC at mid, the DK, level 5 heading into level 6. And this is one of those things that Shadow Fiend, once he does leave the lane to go and farm the jungle, you need a hero here to basically hold down the fort. You need the Lion, and I'm not even sure that's going to be enough. Because DK, once he hits 6, he's going to be looking to push straight into that tier 1.
I think the one option that they have is they can potentially rotate the Darkseer to mid, and he can just sit here, spam Ion Shells, and they could put the Lion down bot, and he could just soak. And I think that covers your bases fairly well over in the Radiant jungle, so I can a little bit of trouble. MK giving chase. He's got his boots, he's got his Orb of Venom, but there are boots on the Lion, and he's got a bunch of anti-invis as well. So I think Bounty Hunter's just a little bit afraid of somebody TPing into the tier 2 and already making their way over. Since at the moment, I don't think he sees too many heroes on the map. No, there's one hero missing off top lane. I think SF backed off into the fog as well once he jumped in there, and just going to end up being a little bit of harassment at the end of the day. But Lion coming over, looking for another stack. Is he going to get it? He will indeed. And our 6-minute runes are going to pop up. It's a haste for the Shadow Fiend, in fact, which is pretty scary. This also hasn't been scouted just yet by NewBee Youth. So they're going to have to be a little bit worried about that.
They see that bounty. They know he's there, ready, waiting, and another sentry placed. Just sentry after sentry this mid lane. They're putting so much emphasis on this bounty hunter. And he's level 2. Like 7 minutes into the game. Oh man, SCCC raises through. He turns around and stuns. And here comes the Fade Bolt telekinesis to follow. Yeah, there we go. Picks up the Shadow Fiend. And that's going to be a pretty simple kill. Witch Doctor turns up. Voodoo Restoration and stun out. But no damage follow through.
Yeah, no Hex from the Lion, interestingly. I guess he just thought, okay, they've turned up with extra heroes. I think even if he hexes there, he's probably... They probably still end up losing the Shadow Fiend, but NewBee Youth getting out to a pretty good kill lead here. They're going to find out the Radiant Courier. Finally, MK is going to end up grabbing that one. It does end up wasting a smoke, but get the Courier, waste some gold, and waste a bunch of time as well. Another attempt on the Dragon Knight's life here on the mid lane, but this time around there isn't a whole lot of help. Earth Spike's still available, and a couple of raises from the Shadow Fiend should be all that this takes. Nice stun from the Dragon Knight. The Dragon Tail's actually going to open up enough space, and he lives.
Notice, too, how the Dragon Knight has a Quelling Blade as well. Like, okay, fair enough, it gives him greater last-hitting...
dewarding.
No, seriously, it gives him greater last-hitting power against the Shadow Fiend. That's the primary use, right? Against the SF, once he starts picking up raises, you need that extra little bit of last-hitting power. Also, decent in the jungle, but dewarding, yeah. Killing off those sentries.
It's a one-shot kill now as well, isn't it?
Yep.
So... It used to only do 50%, so you had to get multiple activations off, but...
Now you can tango wards as well.
We're done with that. Oh, yeah.
I've never seen... I've actually never seen it.
I haven't ever done it.
I've never done it, and I don't think I've ever seen it. And it gives you extra regen.
It's
Does it double it?
Yeah, I think it's double or triple, which is pretty cool. Yeah, thanks for the reminder. I've never seen it done. Or maybe it has happened and I just haven't...
200... Yeah, it doubles. And your cast range is 450 instead of that stupid little, like, 50 range.
Nice. All right, so how are things looking overall here? We're pretty much dead even on net worth. We're pretty much dead even on experience. We're pretty much dead if we're the bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Because he's just going to run right into a sentry ward. And it's going to end up being bursted down. So MK, he's had his highs, he's had his lows. He got the courier. He's died a couple of times.
He's no longer level 2.
But yeah, he has managed to grab some levels, and he is starting to have a little bit more of an impact around the map. NewBee are putting a lot of emphasis on just deep wards and setting up for aggression. Yeah, Jin-Q looks like he's going to be in some trouble. Has enough for a surge, but there's a lift, and a waveform through from Piao finishes that kill as NewBee looking good.
Darkseer was going for Tranquil Boots. He's got the Ring of Protection over on the Courier, and he's also picked up another Ring of Regen. So he's obviously still going into that mech.
SF's going Yules, so I think, he looks like he's going to go mech. SF's going to end up going Yules. What?
Juggernaut's going for the old school Face Boots Mask of Madness.
Yeah, I think that's still a perfectly acceptable build these days. I mean, as much as you can't solo Roche anymore because of the Quelling Blade changes, and QB changes also kind of nerf his farming speed a lot overall, but to me this still seems... Mask of Madness is just a natural choice on Juggernaut. You negate almost all of the downsides with built-in magic immunity and built-in invulnerability from Omnislash. So, just going to end up grabbing that. MK is still just placing these deep, really aggressive wards over on the Radiant side of the map, keeping tabs on pretty much everyone. I mean, all three of the cores from TongFu WZ are going to consider farming the jungle at some stage, and that's where NewBee can actually get a lot done.
The double iron shells, the bane of this morphling, having to strength morph. Just a tiny amount. With Piao here, he's got a bottle, so he's got plenty of mana sustain, but he's losing so much HP clearing through the waves like this. You know, he loses a good 50, 75 HP like that. Do you just go for a Ring of Health here? Nope. Nope. Ring of Aquila and Magic Wand for him.
Yeah, he's got the bottle, so I don't think he's gonna... And also, well, this is an all-right Linken's game.
Like just the lion.
Yeah, just for the lion, really. But I guess at the opposite side of the scale, lion can just consistently mana drain and pop it once you've picked that one up. So we'll see what kind of build we end up, what Piao ends up going for. I think probably might be fairly similar to what we saw in the previous game, maybe without the Linken's this time around. Hookshot comes in top lane. They're looking for Zex Bingo. He's got the spin, but won't even end up popping it. Just able to run away here with the phase boot move speed.
No mana for Cogs? Did he Cogs?
I don't believe so. I mean, it's a reasonably long cooldown. I don't think he landed the hookshot dead on.
Okay.
Honestly, I think they hooked in and waveformed through, and that was about it. Piao's gonna go waveforming into a line there.
The Smoker bot reveal. They've got the stun though. Jinq caught. Dragon Tail to follow, and that's it. Darkseer's gone.
Fourth death of the game for this Darkseer here.
And now with the Ion Shell. Is that stolen? Yeah, Rubik with the Ion Shell onto the Dragon Knight. Pushing into this tower. He's got that poison attack top lane. The TPs are coming in. Morphling on the retreat. The Clockwork's already out. Morphling has got waveform. Yeah, there's no way they're catching him here.
Yeah, and with the maxed out Morph, so he's actually considering, I don't know, sticking around here for a little bit. Knows that Zex Bingo is fairly low. But no, okay, it looks like no opportunity going to present itself. NewBee meanwhile pick up an easy tower after that kill on the Darkseer down bottom lane, so Dragon Knight's looking really solid now on overall farm. Shadow Fiend also doing pretty well for himself, but this build-up with the Yule Scepter does feel a little bit more vulnerable than the mech, so I feel like we're still not necessarily 100% out of the woods for the Shadow Fiend, but this game is pretty neck and neck for now. The NewBee are starting to open up a little bit of a lead. They're even able to rotate over towards mid lane and start putting some pressure down there as TongFu WZ go in on top. Morphling, haste, waveforming through, just clearing out the wave, keeping things back on the tower. The rest of NewBee are making their way up, ignoring mid lane for the time being, and looks like the three-hero group up of TongFu WZ is just going to back up off of this top lane. They do have the Yule Scepter now delivered over in the Shadow Fiend. Not quite level 11 just yet for the rank 2 Requiem of Souls, but I think they're trying to put this to immediate use. And top lane's also a pretty decent place for them to be overall at the moment because NewBee have all of this vision over in their jungle. And I feel like TongFu WZ have a sense of the fact that the Bounty Hunter's been putting a lot of pressure there, and there might be a couple of wards scouting them out as well if they try and farm their jungle too aggressively. And of course the other factor is that the tier 1 tower isn't there anymore down bot, so those easternmost camps aren't necessarily safe by any stretch of the imagination.
And Shadow Fiend with Yule Scepter, obviously farming speed where's the Dragon Knight popping his ulti in mid lane? But yeah, farming speed increased with the mana regen, just race for days, keep the lanes pushed out. He's going to get wrapped around on... looks like 456 are just staying here. There's no movement from NewBee Young up to top lane. I thought maybe they'd move in, but they find Sayaka instead. The Lion caught. MK now with the Bounty Hunter. He's got one Enginata coming off cooldown in a second, but the Morphling's already there. Finds the right-click attack. Takes the last hit. And take the tier 1 as well. They want to go for more. How long until that DK ult's done?
Still about half of the duration left. Alright, so they're actually going to start laying into the tier 2 here. They've, of course, got the glyph refresh, and they're going to pop it. But TongFu WZ need to be a little bit careful. They're taking more damage. They're going to be able to come in from the side here. They've got the Omni Slash at the ready. And DDR notably also has his ultimate available. Jinkyu's going to get hooked up, but does manage to retreat back to the tier 3. And NewBee Young's going to get caught as they try and retreat, but they burst down the Witch Doctor immediately. And Juggernaut also gets stunned up, doesn't get off the Omni Slash. The cast is bouncing around a little bit. YCYK going to load up with the Requiem and the Raises, but doesn't manage to finish anyone off just yet. Raise stolen, gets Dragon-tailed up, waveform through as well. The Martyrdom Requiem almost takes out a few.
And that tracks up on the bounty.
Oh no, NewBee Youth kiting around, bunch of heroes below a quarter HP, but they're going to finish this one up 5-0. What a team fight.
That was ridiculous. TongFu WZ, they come from behind, Bantan is there waiting, scouting them out. He hits like level 6 and 7 in that fight, so the track kills, buzz drums.
And the response was totally perfect as well. They saw those two heroes coming around, and they just chain stunned them mercilessly. I thought, okay, Witch Doctor's going to throw the cast, he's going to get the Death Ward off from Fog, and NewBee are going to end up being punished for the dive onto the tier 2 looking for the kill on the Darkseer. But totally flips around the other way, and that's a huge advantage for NewBee Youth after all said and done. This Darkseer is in Struggle Town right now. I think it's really funny that I brought up the point at the start of the game, like, you know, people have been used to pick Darkseer, and they were relying on him to get a mech, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. And I feel like this is exactly that game, where Darkseer is being relied on by his team to get a decently fast mech because the Shadow Fiend hasn't gone for it, and now they're really just struggling in team fights kind of as a result.
And then when you look at Juggernaut, it's kind of the same story, right? He's like, okay, his skill set's good. Omni Slash with Master Manus is going to give you pretty much a guaranteed kill on a support or on the Bounty Hunter if you do have some reveal, but he needs another couple of items. He needs to be ahead of this Morphling and DK because they're just going to outlast him in fights. Top lane, Shadow Fiend goes for the raises, the waveform out, but he's got to relocate. He's got an illusion elsewhere. Replicate, not relocate.
Bounty Hunter maybe not done just yet. Shadow Fiend moving into pretty uncertain territory here. There's no tier 1 tower for him. TP coming in from the Clockwork. Track gets thrown out. Shadow Fiend, how's he getting out of this one? Just going to try for the TP, but that's immediately going to get cancelled. The Yule looks like he might pay for this with the Requiem. MK going to try and dodge here and there, but...
The bait.
Yeah.
But now, 456 hook shots in, Cogs trapped, and Piao takes the last hit. No, he doesn't. He tries, but he fails.
So, what do we got? We got 456 picking that one up. Meanwhile, SCCC has just been off doing his own thing, taking down towers. The tier 2 bottom falls to him as well. He's got his BKB and another 1400 gold. And he is, in fact, your lead farmer on the entire map right now. And he's just had a phenomenal game. He had a really solid time on mid, and that was without any real help from the Bounty Hunter whatsoever. I mean, there was even the Lion there trying to tip the lane somewhat. Smoke coming out from WZ, but they don't get anything. The Bounty Hunter spots them all, and both heroes get out safely. That was very strange.
Well, Lincoln's nearly done here for the Morphlings. Not done, is it? No, not on the Courier Dust. Or they found the bounty. He's hit. He's slowed. Sayak does not have a way to close the gap and get the stun down on him, though. And look at this Replicate coming in. The fake DK. Do they turn the stun to the Omni Slash? They just bail. Get the hell out of here, guys. Don't want to deal with it.
Okay, they're going to realize what's up. A little bit suspicious that the Dragon Knight's just going to walk all the way up in his regular form. Also, suspiciously, there's a second Dragon Knight mid, so... And they do get rid of that one, but NewBee Youth really starting to just close up the farming options for TongFu WZ, and you have to start wondering what kind of items they're even going to be able to get to before
the
NewBee Youth kind of close this one out.
The mech on Darkseer is miles away. There's no blink initiation from the Lion. No Zex Bingo. Stunned now with the Dragon Tail. Wall though into the DK. Pops his BKB, so no Maledict, no wall, no real magical damage. And the Omni Slash nearly takes him out, but bounces the creeps. He gets one in exchange for his life. The Jug trades for the DK, but that's expenditure galore from TongFu WZ.
Yeah, it's still good. They still definitely are fairly happy with that kill, I think, but that could have gone much, much better for NewBee Youth. I mean, if you look at that, they're just spread all over the map right now. That was a 2v4, and only a Rocket Flare really contributed by the Clockwork, and they still managed to trade 1-for-1. So things looking alright. And out of that, they do manage to get the mech over on the Dark Sea. So they've got a little bit more teamfight potential up their sleeve now, and we'll see if they can start putting together some combos to try and hang on to the high ground. As much as the Lion's still quite a ways away from his Blink, and I think that's probably the next biggest item for TongFu WZ here. If they can get a vacuum into a multi-hero Earth Spike.
A Ravage.
Yeah, basically a Ravage.
Basically a Ravage.
Then I think that's where we could really start to see things turning around a little bit, especially if Shadow Fiend maybe picks up a Blink of his own after the BKB, and TongFu WZ look towards the just I think heavier AoE teamfight approach to getting back into this game.
Bounty Hunter has recovered pretty damn well this game. He's sitting at level 8. You know, he's same level as Witch Doctor, a little bit ahead of the Lion, but still, he was sitting at level 1 for a good 5 minutes or so. Well, you look at the Shadow Fiend. You know, sure enough, level 13 with almost 9,000 net worth is barely ahead of that Morphling, but it's the actual items they're picking themselves up. The Morphling has Lincoln's, has a couple of 100 gold, and will do so after this Roshan. Who do you give Aegis to here? The Morphling, right? Because DK is heavily reliant on his ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, DK is just a fairly unimpressive Aegis carrier on the whole, and yeah, it's going to end up being the Morphling. He can kind of go Ramboing in.
Oh, hook shot, 456. Catches Sayaka into the cogs, and that's perfect. Wall, Finger of Death, nothing is killing off 456. The Clockwork survives, surge back as Morphling waveforms across, still looking for this kill. After Strike does a decent amount of damage over on the back. We're going to see the Requiem rip apart Bounty Hunter. Shinkyud is stunned by the Dragon's Tail from SCCC, vacuum back. YCYK trying to do what he can from the high ground. This is just so split up. It's a devastating fight for anyone involved. The buyback from Bounty Hunter, Dragonite on the retreat. Shadow Fiend is now on the high ground, has the advantage, looking for the Yule Scepter up. 456 catches the Juggernaut inside the cogs somehow, and now Shadow Fiend surrounded by 4. This is going to be his downfall, back and forth, but in the end, the itemization, the advance, the level lead that NewBee Young had really showing there as they managed in the very end to make sure that, you know, their short cooldown abilities were used multiple times. And you can see that, you bring out the fight recap. TongFu WZ, Vacuum Wall, Finger of Death, Requiem, Death Ward, and now what do we do, guys? We've used everything. We've used our mech, a couple of razors, while NewBee Young's like, right, round 2, let's go.
Yeah, it's like, oh, our Clockwork tanked all of the spells for us, got the perfect initiation down. Now we just get to go. I feel like NewBee also kited that fight fantastically. Yeah, they lost the Bounty Hunter very early on, and he did end up buying back, but they kind of kept the Shadow Fiend occupied the whole time. And yes, he did a decent amount of damage, especially when you compare it to the other heroes on his team, but they left him until the very end and then just cleaned him up as everybody regrouped.
A large chunk of his damage was that insta-kill on Bounty Hunter with the Requiem, just see ya. But yeah, buying back on the Bounty to get a couple of track kills there, definitely worth it.
Yeah, 100%. Give that extra gold to your team. I think the other big thing is that the Juggernaut ultimate is still only level 1, and it got almost entirely tanked by the Dragon Knight, who has maxed out Dragon's Blood at this point. So he shrugged that off, no problem whatsoever, and at this early stage, that was pretty much all of Juggernaut's contribution to the team fight. He's still not really all that farmed at the moment, and it's going to take quite a while longer to get that next couple of items up to the point where he can really be a very scary right clicker. More stab hook comes in. YCRK in some trouble, gets bounced back by the cogs as well, gets up the BKB, but it's only going to take up the fight somewhat. Good Death Ward, but it gets immediately cancelled out by the Morphling stun. DDR in some troubles. X-Bingo goes charging in with his rank 1 Omni Slash, but it doesn't kill anybody off. A few more auto attacks onto Piao, but he's not done just yet, and he's still got this Aegis in tow. MK now joining the fight as well. That's going to end up being a 3 for just an Aegis trade.
Yeah, 5-19, 23 minutes into the game. Piao, this guy on Morphling, 5-0-8. He's played aggressively very well, but also he's kept up his farm rate. You know, 126 last hits. His GPM is pretty damn high. Dragonite's done a good job, but I think that's Morphling, the fact that not only has he gone looking for kills, but he's applied so much pressure. Remember when he had a haste win up the top, and he was just running around causing havoc, and okay, Lion ceases to exist.
Yeah, double, 4-step in on the Dragonite waveform for your Morphling, and Lion just gets obliterated. They are going to play this nice and safe as the Dragon Knight ultimate wears down. Just going to end up leaving this high ground push for the time being, it would seem. But I mean, I think they're feeling very content. They've got some good wards around the place. They're keeping tabs on what TongFu WZ are up to. And I was just showing the graphs earlier, but they have a huge lead at this point. 15k net worth, 12k experience. And I think you talked about the Morphling playing really impressively this game, but I think 456 as well has had a pretty stellar game on Clockwork on the whole.
All right, jumping in, forcing out. I think when he got that full staff, he suddenly noticed, okay, he is pulling out the big plays here. He's baiting spell, he's tanky as all hell with Treads, and now Ghost Step through against Juggernaut. Omnislash not going to do too much. Net worth-wise, he's actually ahead of that Jugger by a good 1,000. Yep. Over 1,000. Hook shot. Who's that onto? Looking for the Lion.
Aiming for the Lion, yeah, but not going to find him.
Oh, 456 just sitting mid, looking for that Aghanim Scepter right now, and group up here from Wonjo. They've placed a sentry, but the Observer Ward a little further over to the east, so they're not going to catch that. Vision fully available for NewBee Young as they see them all group up bottom lane. Shadow Fiend walks into the Morphling, but Rubik not there for telekinesis. Has stolen. Is that the long range raise? No, that's the short range raise.
Yeah, it's.
You can tell from the
face size.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's up close, then it's the. Oh, also you can hover it, and you can just see the the range indicator.
That's true.
Anyway, so it just gets a little bit of extra farm out of that. I don't think he's too unhappy. MK runs in, gets dusted, just gonna pop the drum, the phase boots, throw out a track, and even gets a 4-staff from the low ground. 456 coming in to help him out a little bit there. So, I mean, NewBee just keeping complete tabs on TongFu WZ at all times and making it pretty much impossible for them to leave the base with the smoke and make any plays. I feel like this is totally textbook starvation tactics from NewBee. They know that they're building up a huge lead. They know that they can wait around for the next Roshan. There's absolutely no pressure on them to go and force the high ground right now, and they know that TongFu WZ also aren't really getting any items, since all they're getting is the creeps that are arriving at the base.
I think they'll poke a little bit here because E-Blade has been picked up by the Morphling, and you know, in the old days when we saw Morphling E-Blade, every single time we'd see Replicant out, he'd walk into the base, E-Blade and adapt to strike, you know, the Lion or someone like that, the Witch Doctor, try and find that one pick, and then force buyback or go for the push, because you know, they found him, found the Lion.
It doesn't even need the waveform to connect, just uses it for positioning. The 2 nukes are more than enough to kill off this presently very squishy Lion. And poor Lion, that's going to set him back a little bit further. Though it looks like he's only got... does he only have reliable gold? I'm not seeing any gold lost on the recap, but he does have some unreliable. But anyway.
That's weird.
Yeah, who knows? It's probably just a recap issue, I would guess.
Yeah, must be. But yeah, that one pick-off gives them options. You know, they could have gone high ground push, could have gone to take a team fight. Instead, they split push. They've got all 3 lanes going in.
Poor Witch Doctor.
Hello, Morphling. Leave them alone.
He just can't be stopped. I mean, what can they really do? The Lion is the only one with the disables that are going to be able to do anything about him. But even getting in range of the Morphling is a very dangerous prospect right now.
When the Bounty Hunter is manhandling your Juggernaut 1 versus 1, you know you have issues.
Well, you know when the Bounty Hunter is about to eclipse your Juggernaut in terms of net worth as well, you've definitely got some issues from that. What do we got? 456, he's almost got his eggs up. Fishing for that hook shot there, but not going to be able to find it. I don't know if he wanted to go hooking into the Shadow Fiend all by himself there. Might have just tried to force out a BKB charge, perhaps, but I don't think he gets that kill.
Hook in cogs, 4-staff out, something like that?
Yeah, something along those lines.
MK keeping the tracks up. Who's he got it on so far? Juggernaut and Shadow Fiend, the smoke here from the Witch Doctor, prepping themselves to go. Whereas the Lion is standing at the Ancient. Pretty far back. He's got his cloak, so he's given up on any idea of the Blink Dagger this game. Well, we have a Blink on the DK, something that we're starting to see a lot more often, especially on Chinese teams. That Blink initiation from DK, jump onto someone with a Dragon Tail, and you know, then pop your ulti.
Yeah, it's really interesting how things cycle, because this used to be quite popular back in Southeast Asia a while ago when Dragon Knight was sort of seeing a lot of play, and it's funny because there's one player that sticks out in particular to me, which is Abba on I think it was Myth at the time, and he would just play solo mid Dragon Knight every game, and he would build Blink Dagger on that hero every single time. But it definitely puts in a lot of work. You've got this massive duration stun on a fairly low cooldown, and NewBee definitely can take full advantage of any heroes that are locked down here. But it's also just great for breaking into the base, and that's really the only obstacle left for NewBee at this point. They are a little bit split up. Surge coming in on the Lion. Kind of a poor man's Blink Dagger, but unfortunately SCCC has the real one, and he's just going to be able to disengage there.
So how do they go about this? Where's the Morphling standing right now? Heading towards middle lane, actually, looking for the pick. They've got track up on the Lion now.
I think poor Lion's already dead.
Oh,
he just doesn't know it yet.
Dearie me. Lincoln's has popped to vacuum back. Piao now has to morph to strength just a tiny bit. But yeah, TongFu WZ in a pretty rough spot. Sentry out just to try and see where this bounty's coming from. Does anybody have a gem just yet?
Nope. I don't believe so.
Nobody has a gem?
I think TongFu WZ can afford one, and I don't think NewBee Youth need one, honestly. I mean, they know that TongFu WZ have not left the base in the longest time because they've got the wards, they've got almost continuous tracks up on at least somebody on the lineup, and okay, it looks like finally Roshan's going to be popping back up, and NewBee Youth are going to be grabbing that one and probably looking to make their way onto the high ground. I don't know if they're close to any items. That could be a deciding factor as well. Morphling does have about 2.8k gold, so the call might be made, okay, I'm going to go and grab another item before we press up onto the high ground here, but I think we're definitely looking for just a couple of siege attempts. Maybe using the DK ultimate as well. SCCC does have his Elder Dragon form level 3 up now as well. So,
what would you be looking for as a Morphling here, though?
I think you just go Manta. Okay. Honestly, I think you're getting to the high ground siege
stack
portion of the game. Yeah, you could
just buy a bunch of Eagle Songs.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to kill the supports with just the Ethereal Blade, then I think another Eagle Song doesn't sound too bad.
Dagon would work, actually.
Yeah.
Because then you could look to actually just take down the docks here. Make sure that there's no vacuum wall, which is one of the biggest things actually holding you out of their base.
TongFu WZ at least get some kind of an opportunity to go and get the lanes out here.
We're out of our base, guys. We did it. An achievement. But NewBee Young are pushing down mid lane. Replicate, where does he have his illusion? Pretty far back, towards the mid tier 1. And looking at tier 1 standings, you know, bottom lane and mid lane still, dire side tier 1's up. Not in deny range, the mid tier 1 for them.
And it speaks to what a hard time TongFu WZ have had. This game that was a bit of an awkward blink, but they've got the chain stun, it would seem. And goodbye, Juggernaut.
He's got buyback. The rest of his team are mid lane. Requiem, Piao has to try and escape. Waveform's gone. Replicate not available, but he is tanky as all hell. 17 at 1 charges as MK just keeps turning back to track. Keeps going on. Piao now seems like he wants to go back in and fight as the track bounces between everyone. Mur goes back in with a 4-staff. The 2-man Earth Spike stolen as Jin Q nearly gets taken out by Morphling, but here's the DK. Blinks forward, stuns Sayaka. Again, Shuriken toss, bounce, and hook shot again. The Aghanim Scepter good here for 456. Sealing that kill. There are buybacks available here, but GG is called as TongFu WZ tap out.
As you were saying, I mean, tier 1 tower is still standing, and it just speaks to what a hard game TongFu WZ had there. They've got a Darkseer, Shadowfiend, Juggernaut lineup. You expect that they're at least going to be able to take all of the tier 1 towers, but NewBee Young just executed so well. I mean, we were talking about it. The Bounty Hunter was sort of dealt with, at least in terms of the early game, but the Morphling and the Dragon Knight just went